Company settings. Company settings is the first page that any new location starting up should look at and adjust all the settings. The first section here is the company name, address, email, currency. Of course, the time zone is very important to make sure that your company time zone is set to the right time. Otherwise, all your tickets will be in a different time zone, like UTC, which is completely different time zone compared to where most of our U.S. customers should be. Another one is retail business type. So we have uh, roughly four business types: food, which is legacy, quick service restaurant, retail, service, which is salons, and timeshare and vacation that will be gone in the next edition. But these are our main categories for the business, and based on that, different features gets enabled and disabled. So, for example, if you're retail, you get to see um, in the product page, you get to see matrix. If you are a salon, matrix is not offered. If you're food, only modifier gets offered, the matrix goes away, and vice versa. So those are the different things that the business category control. Receipt info is if you do not enter the receipt address, actually this address will construct your receipt. So generally what we find is, their company info can be something else, but receipt address can be something else. And the receipt address is what shows on the top of your receipt. So we allow customers to custom uh, put receipt address, which will be shown on top of your receipt. Now, signature line text. So this shows below the signature line. Generally, in case of EMV, EMV has its own um, requirement. So whatever you type here is not gonna show on your EMV receipt. This is only for legacy, where we had iPads using MagTech Swiper or PayPal Swiper or any of those. Non-EMVs will pick up the signature line. Receipt text. This is the text that shows below your signature line or below thank you message. So that's this. These are all the information customer can put their return policy or what have you. Logo for receipt. This is what shows up on top of your receipt as a logo, both in print as well as text as well as email. Register settings. So this controls the register app directly. Enable drawer count will allow you to turn on and turn off the drawer count feature, where you can keep track of your cash, how much cash you received, how much cash you pulled out of there, like drawer entries. So everything related to drawer gets enabled by this switch. Enable tip. So businesses who accept tips can enable tips using that switch. And again, we have multi-tier tips. What I mean by that is from app to different devices, web, different switches control different sides. So when we go to the app, when I review the Android app settings, we'll go over what the different enable tips does. Enable smart cells. So this switch controls where in Android app we have the smart cells on right hand side. Now by default we put all the items it shows. Now let's say if you have 10,000 items, you don't need to scroll through, so you simply turn it off. All you get to see is the search bar. Now if you search something, then it will show up in that smart cells. Otherwise it'll just simply turn it off, so you don't need to bother loading any data in there. Booking settings. This is for again salon customers who have enabled booking. Booking appointment, enable appointment reminder. This is to the customer, meaning the consumer who is booking appointments, so they would get a reminder email from their salons. Enable appointment confirmation. This goes to again the appointment, the people who booked appointment. So consumers, as soon as you book, you get an email right away saying, your appointment has booked, and all these content can be changed via the email template. So that's that. Auto assign service provider. So this is an important feature. So for a small salon, like let's say a nail place, our system was built for a bigger salon where every service provider provides different service at different price and takes different time. Now in nail, everything is same, or a men's haircut, everything is same. Everybody charges $10. Everybody cuts hair in 15 minutes. So when you add services, if you turn this feature on, then it'll automatically assign that service and the time that you enter, the service time, to all employees and enables them by default. So I, as the business owner, don't have to go to each employee and enable that newly added service, also define the price and also define the time. I can get away from doing all that. Show only business hours. Again, on this affects the online, the booking page on web, where by default the calendar is 24 hours. But if you turn this feature on, then it'll only show you the business hours you define, which is on this page up top. Business hours. It'll limit the calendar to that hour, so you don't have to look at 24 hours. So that's the company general settings, if you will. Then additional settings is further more customization. So here you can have, again on the common settings, you can have the um, custom receipt number. So let's say you want your receipt to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if you are a large brand and you get orders from different sources, then you can say, retail, and then start at 1 or 1,000 and so forth. So this is where some corporate businesses would use this. Company code, this is required if you want to, map this company or this location with some other location in another platform, for example, CRM or ERP, where our company ID don't mean anything there, but their company ID, like the system ERP generating the location ID for that particular retail location, can become a company code for us. And it's unique, and you can query the API using the company code. Enable idle timeout. This is where if you turn this on, it'll on 5 minutes it'll time out your screen. So back office will time out and go to the login, the pin screen or a password screen. Enable pin code. Again, if by default everything is password driven, if you enable the pin code, then it'll ask you for pin number. And why it is an independent feature, because by default when you add an employee, PIN code is not required, but password is required. So people can remember their password and log in via that. But if you enable PIN code, then you have to make sure that the PIN is present, either for administrator or for employees. So that's why this became an independent feature. Enable events. This, by the way, we will need to remove it. We had an idea. We were going to work with an event company, and they would run this. But since there is no use, we should create a ticket to remove this. Register settings. So here, enable shipping. Which countries can we enable shipping? And by default, every company checked. So you can turn on, turn off different countries where you don't want to ship. And this is, again, when you have shipping enabled on the Android app, you can pick which country you want to sell to. So this is a cool feature for omnichannel. Now, salesperson required. So on every sale that you make, every item needs to get attached with a salesperson. And that's for commissioning purposes. Sometimes you can make an order but forget to assign a salesperson to it. So this makes sure that you assign it. Customer required, same thing. If I'm shipping an item or if my business requires to have customer information, then I need to turn this on. Add items to stock upon refund. This is another a great feature for retail, where every time you take a return, you can decide whether the product that you're taking by default is RMA. RMA stands for Return to Manufacturer, meaning we wouldn't restock that. So whatever customer brought us back doesn't go back to the stock again. So that is RMA. So by default, so here we say add item to stock upon refund. So if it's off, then it's RMA. If it's on, then it will increase your quantity as soon as you accept. By default, we'll set the drop down in the app to increase the quantity. So that's the difference here. Gift card provider. So we have different provider. We have, of course, our built-in GiveX, ValueTech, Synergy, or external. So these are the different providers. You can set them, and then of course enter the corresponding um, uh, login information for those gift card provider. Chain charge to room. So we have a integration with a company called Digital Res. This charge to room is a hotel feature. So let's say if our POS was being used by a restaurant within a hotel management, a hotel system, then as a customer, we don't have to take a credit card to go to the restaurant and eat. We can just simply charge it to our room. So right now the integration is with Digital Res only. In future, we'll add more integrations. Use Avalara Tax. So Avalara is a tax calculation company that does that allows our customers to do auto calculation, so you don't have to necessarily keep track of what your tax rate, sales tax rate, and update it all the time. This is more usable for multi-location businesses, more corporate type, not franchise type. Franchise, because again it's owned by individual owners and they can keep track of their rates and update our tax table. But this one is more corporations, so companies like Turkey Grill would use it because they go into many different states to make sales, and they don't know what states will have what tax rate. So that Avalara solves that problem for them. Enable bundle and prepaid packages. So we have bundles, meaning kits, or you can have many items in a package, discounted or not discounted. So if you want to enable those, that's the switch. And same thing with prepaid packages. So this will allow you to sell prepaid packages to your customer. Unit of measure. So this would be where you can do weighted, weighted values. So our system by default is quantities of one, which means one shirt or one shoes or one whatever, but not 1.5 pounds of meat or vegetables. So we added unit of measure where by default it is none, which defaults to one. But if you use US, then we'll give you pounds, ounces, and liters. If you do metric, then it's kilogram, gram, and liter. So when you're creating a product, you can pick one of those units, how it is sold, and your pricing will be done accordingly. So that's the advanced settings. Hours is, again, this reflects, this controls the booking page on the web POS, and also this information shows on the my website. So the built-in website shows this information, and also our Connect Me app, which is a consumer app where people can go book appointments or check into your salon. And future is to integrate with our online ordering. So that's for that purposes. And then also, based on this, actually, even the Android app booking calendar adjusts its hour based on this calendar. Or, I mean, based on this hours. Thank you.